today, marking the start of a new post-Brexit trade deal with Australia and New Zealand. It means that all of our exports to them have had the various tariffs removed, with markets for services unlocked, so red tape slashed for digital trade and work visas. In short, we're sending them Beanos, the comics, and whiskey, but we're getting all their lamb and meat. Well, joining us is Director of Trade and Business Strategy at the National Farmers Union, Nick von Westenholz, who can join us. Nick, thank you for your time. Are they getting the better end of the deal?
Yes, I think they are, and I think they know that. I think they're delighted with the deal, but for farmers here in Britain, certainly there's not a lot in this deal for them, particularly actually because Australia and New Zealand largely have low or no tariffs on most of their food imports anyway.
So would it be the case then that New Zealand lamb, for instance, that we would be able to buy this cheaper here in Britain than we would Welsh lamb?
Well, New Zealand lamb actually is a slightly different picture because we already import a lot of the New Zealand lamb tariff-free. There's a historical quota for New Zealand lamb. So it would more relate to things like beef from New Zealand, for example, both beef and lamb, for example, from Australia. And they have very low, very efficient costs of production. And so they will be able to service the UK market very competitively compared to domestic beef and lamb, yes.
So does this mean our farmers are going to have to lower their prices to compete?
Well, that is the real fear, that this liberalisation through these trade deals will put downward pressure on prices. And as you'll be aware, it's a tough time for farming in the UK. Post-Brexit, there's a lot of changes coming in. And so this is adding to a lot of that uncertainty and a lot of the downward pressure on prices that we've seen over the last 4 or 5 years.
Right. Dare I mention that a lot of farming areas, of course, voted for Brexit to leave the EU. I mean, are many in the farming community now starting to rethink whether that was a good thing for their industry in particular?
Well, I mean, my sense is that farming was very similar to the nation at large. Many farmers voted to leave, many farmers voted to remain, and it was probably sort of 52-48 or something like that. I don't necessarily get the sense that there's a wholesale change in attitudes or opinions, but maybe a small shift as there is in the country generally. But of course, it's not so much about what happened back then in 2016, but there were lots of promises made about how post-Brexit this would be a new beginning for farming, lots of new opportunities. And we haven't really seen that. So, and these deals have only exacerbated a lot of that uncertainty. What I should say is, since then, we've done another deal with the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is a lot more balanced. And I think, there maybe is a sense that we're adjusting our trade policy, being a bit more realistic about it now, to one that benefits both consumers and farmers in the UK.
Right. So that would mean that some of our farmers are able to export maybe our high-end beef, for instance, Aberdeen Angus and so on, to the rest of the world.
Yeah, that's the key thing here. We want to do trade deals, and not even trade deals. You don't necessarily need trade deals to do this, but we want to find markets where we can export more of the great British food we produce. And at the same time, just be careful for those particularly sensitive sectors like sheep farmers in the uplands about the sort of trade deals that might put massive pressure on them in the domestic market. There is a balance to be struck there. And unfortunately, these two deals we're talking about today didn't strike that balance, but I think we can strike that balance better going forward.